I just tell the truth, and telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies. If you mix brilliance with bravery, that we can ignite something. Even this conversation alone can ignite the people.
The time is now to express and for people to believe in themselves. The time is now for it to be okay to be great. People in this world shun people for being great, for being a bright color, for standing out. But the time is now to be okay to be the greatest you.
Well, look, it's the same old, no one cares about girls in schools having to have mixed-sex toilets. No one cares about women in workplaces having mixed-sex toilets and no access to female-only, meaning and female-only spaces anymore. And obviously, women in prison, we've already completely abandoned them. Many of them are vulnerable, as you rightly say. They've been victims of child sexual abuse. And so they've already been cast aside before they got to prison. And then they get to prison and we just remind them that we don't actually care about them at all. And we'll put them at grave risk and discomfort. Many of them are in there for non-payment of fines. And there's 3,000 women in the prison estate. So and there's 12,000 men in the 80,000 population of prisoners in this country who have actually committed crimes, sexual crimes against women and children. So when we look at that, you just put one of those men into a woman's prison, you totally change the nature of that prison for every single woman serving in that space. And maybe we should make it, I don't like quotas or anything like that, but I'd like to see a quota in the number of times women are mentioned when it comes to things that impact women. And I'd like that quota to be about 70-30.
And when you mention women, maybe don't call them people with cervixes.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be great, thanks.
Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Kelly. We're back with another video. If y'all are new to the channel and you enjoy true crime stories, news, and politics, and so much more, please smash the subscribe button, guys. Join me on the channel. I would appreciate that so much. And if you're a returning listener or subscriber, thank you as always for being a friend. And please interact with the video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below about the topic. Like the video if you like it, and make sure you're subscribed, hit the bell, do the things. I thank everyone in advance for watching this video. I appreciate you guys. So, as you could probably tell from the intro video, what we're going to be talking about is a pretty serious topic, and I wanted to discuss it here on my channel with you guys, and I want to get your thoughts and express my thoughts, obviously, on the disturbing and disgusting trend of, yet again, men invading women's spaces. When we talked about sports, guys, we've talked about, the gender cult in schools, invading all aspects of our lives here in the free world. Places, like Target, corporations, all of it has been completely overtaken by this madness and this need to push this down the throats of everyone. But one place that people, I feel like, do not give enough attention to and do not talk about enough is women's prisons and what is going on there with male offenders. Oftentimes, way too often, it doesn't even matter if it's a lesser percentage or what is considered the majority. It doesn't matter. It's too many. If there is any sort of male sexual predator transferred to a woman's prison because he says he's trans, then it's one too many and it's already gone too far. And that is actually happening right now, not only in this country, in other countries, in other Western countries. The absurdity of this, you might not believe it, but I'm here to tell you it is going on, and it has to be addressed, and it needs to be stopped immediately, if not sooner. These women need to be suing these states and these institutions that are allowing this to occur. And people really need to wake the fuck up and understand what's going on. So let's get into it, guys. Okay, this article is from the Daily Signal. Just how many imprisoned men who identify as transgender are guilty of sexual assault? More than half, new data shows. A little more than half of the men housed in Wisconsin Department of Corrections facilities who identify as transgender women have been convicted of at least one count of sexual assault or sexual abuse. And I want to start off by saying, Wisconsin, what the F is going on up there? I thought Wisconsin was just a bunch of cheese people, eating cheese, wearing the cheese hats on their head, going to Packers games, and, farming, a bunch of stuff, and just, regular, Midwestern shit. Okay, Wisconsin, just this year alone, like the madness that has come out of that state. I mean, Taylor Shabusiness came out of Wisconsin, okay? Do I need to say any more? But this takes it to a whole new level. I mean, obviously what she did was like, whoo, it was out there. I mean, she's on her own level, okay? She really elevated the game. But when in the realm of like the transgender atrocities, this is a whole new level as well. Okay, let's just separate those two things. I didn't mean to bring Taylor Shabusiness all up into this business, but, you know, now when I hear Wisconsin, immediately, you know, I think, whew, that bitch was crazy. Anyways, we continue. The revelation comes from Wisconsin Department of Corrections records obtained by the Heritage Foundation's Oversight Project through an April 2022 public records request. The Oversight Project sought information on biologically male inmates seeking transfers to female prisons by saying they identified as transgender females. Men belong with men and men only in prison, said Mike Howell, director of the Oversight Project. Putting sex offenders, men claiming to be women, in cells with women is another reason the world laughs at America's moral decline. Prison is for punishment, not degenerate sexual behavior. And I agree. So let's see what this graph says. So from the Oversight Project, this here, transgender women in Wisconsin DOC prisons, 161. Okay, this is as of 7/21/2023. Transgender women in prisons convicted of at least one count of sexual assault or sexual abuse, 81. Half. Transgender women who applied for transfer to a female facility, not available. I guess that data's not at the ready. So some notes here. Individuals self-report whether they are transgender. Numbers provided are based on what was true at the time of a person's admission for people currently incarcerated. Having at least one count of sexual assault or sexual abuse is based on that person's full offense history, not just what they're currently convicted of. These numbers do not reflect all people with a sex offense conviction, only those convicted of sexual assault or sexual abuse. So those numbers might be even higher. Cool. Numbers provided exclude any juvenile sex offense convictions. So those numbers are definitely way higher. Okay, cool. A person may have additional offenses for their current incarceration that are not a sex offense. Regarding charge numbers, include only finalized conduct reports resulting in a guilty verdict. This mostly aligns with what may be considered a criminal charge by the police, resulting in action taken by the courts. So there you have it, guys. Just some data, you know, for your own information, for you to have and to understand that this is a very serious and very egregious issue that we are now putting onto these women who are in prisons. And you might not care what happens to people who are in prison, but I'm sorry, I do. Most women who are in prison are not there for violent offenses. There are, you know, many who are. They still don't deserve it, okay? They just don't. For the most part, women's prisons are much more peaceful. They're much less violent than male prisons, you know, which is the crux of the matter. That's why most men want to be transferred there and will go to the lengths of claiming transgenderism in order to be transferred into those facilities. But the fact that we're allowing it shows the world who really has the mental disorder, and it is the people who are allowing these policies to go forward and actually transferring actual men who look like men, okay, who are getting women pregnant in prisons, okay. Those are the people with the real mental illnesses, okay. I don't know what happened to us along the way here, but we are seriously off the path of moral high ground and right and wrong. Okay, we don't know where the fuck we're at. We're lost in the woods. Lost in the sauce, and the sauce ain't good. So inmates convicted of sex offenses may have committed crimes including sexual exploitation of a child, sexual exploitation by a therapist, forced viewing of a sexual act, rape, sexual intercourse without consent, incest, sexual intercourse with a child, indecent behavior with the child, and enticing a child, and more. So, though given multiple days and numerous opportunities to respond, the Wisconsin DOC would not tell the Daily Signal whether it houses biologically male inmates in female prisons. Deputy Director of Communications Kevin Hoffman referred the Daily Signal to the Wisconsin DOC's policy index. Why can't these people answer a question? I mean, it should be a yes or no. I just don't understand. Like, absolutely ridiculous. These people are sick. They're disgusting. They're demonic. Hoffman similarly would not address specifics on whether Mark Campbell, a biological man who now identifies as a woman and goes by Nicole Campbell, has been transferred to a woman's prison. So let's get into Mr. Mark Campbell, okay? Let's get into him, okay? Yikes. Wow. Oh my God, I'm scared. Here we have him. So what are we talking about here? Let's really just get specific and talk about one example that, you know, the Wisconsin Department of Corrections doesn't want to address. They don't want to confirm, but due to actual, real journalism and people who are trying to get to the bottom of this, who want the truth of the matter, who don't want to see, sick and disturbed men invading women's spaces, prisons included, especially prisons, in my opinion, because those women have no outlet. They have no way of escaping these people, okay? They are quite literally trapped in those places with violent men, sometimes, like in some of these cases. And even if they're non-violent, even if they really are transgender, they need to go into isolation in a male's prison. I'm sorry. You don't need to be mixing them with people of the opposite sex. It's absolutely ridiculous and absurd notion. You know, people like Blair White say Blair White was convicted of murder. Then Blair White needs to be put into an isolation cell for Blair's own protection, and but housed in a male facility. I'm sorry, that's just what it is. It's really not that hard. But this sick ass individual that we're talking about today is Mark Campbell, okay? Rape of 10-year-old girl by male transgender parent nearly drove her to suicide is the headline of this article, okay? From womenarehuman.com. So this is Nicole Rose Campbell. Okay, so out of Waupun, Wisconsin, an individual showed lack of remorse, empathy, or responsibility after a sexual violence against his prepubescent daughter nearly drove the traumatized girl to suicide, had a portion of his lawsuit against the Wisconsin Department of Corrections for deliberate indifference to his serious medical needs for gender-affirming surgery repeatedly struck down. Now a U.S. district judge has ordered the state to give him the surgery and place him in a women's prison while the procedure is pending. Okay. Mark Allen Campbell, a prison inmate who identifies as a woman, claimed distress at being denied gender-affirming surgery was driving himself to self-castration. Oh, really? But when you were using your disgusting penis to do unspeakable acts on your daughter, were you trying to cut it off then, sir? I mean, what? This is why certain people it shouldn't be our problem after a certain point. Like, you do something like this to your own daughter, to a child, you don't deserve to live anymore. You're going to become a burden on everyone. And that's exactly what this man now is. And so now, people of Wisconsin, the citizens there, you can thank your legislators, your judicial system, for now using your taxpayer dollars to fund this disgusting pedophiles, sick, twisted need for attention and for some sort of special treatment that would go to these lengths to be placed into a female facility. You can thank them for this. And I'm personally outraged. I don't know how you guys feel with this, but let me know in the comments. The inmate, who prefers the name Nicole Rose, and I will not be calling him that, was arrested at his home in March 2007 after relatives alerted authorities to his abuse of his daughter. The child told a social worker that her father raped her, used sex toys on her, masturbated in her presence, and exposed her to pornographic DVDs, videos, movies, and magazines. Her little brother sometimes wandered into the room while her father was raping her, she said. I mean, death penalty. Like, why is that hard? Death penalty. Just kill him. I mean, what else do you have to live for? Especially, he's going to be trying to cut off his own dick in prison just to get some attention. Okay, let him bleed out. I don't care. I'm sorry. Let me stop. Let me move on because I'm going to get kicked off YouTube. Police found that Mr. Campbell left sex toys, pornographic materials, knives, dangerous chemicals, and uncased shotgun and a fuel canister containing Coleman fuel in reach of the children. He often took his children with him to shop for sex toys. So, where's the mother of these children? Is my first question. My second question is, who? I don't even know what to say. Like, I just don't even know what to say. Why would anybody have sex with this person is the question that I have, actually, that I'm finding it hard to get out because his face is so disturbing to me. Who would have sex with this person? And then you leave your children in the care of him? I mean, what is going on? So he was charged with first-degree sexual assault of a child, incest, exposing a child to harmful material, and causing a child to view or listen to sexual activity. So he reached a plea agreement to confess to first-degree sexual assault in exchange for a sentence of no more than 20 years with 5 to 7 years initial confinement. Okay. Horrible plea agreement. First of all, the DA, I'm looking at you sideways. What the fuck? So, in defiance of the plea deal, the pre-sentence investigation recommended 20 to 40 years initial confinement and 7 to 10 years extended supervision. Mr. Campbell protested, arguing he pleaded guilty only because his attorney advised him he was unlikely to win at trial. He requested a 2 to 3 year sentence. Let that sink in. He wanted to get out quickly so he could go back to having sex with his own daughter. Like, I mean, absolutely disgusting individual. He deserves no less than the death penalty. Finding that Mr. Campbell completely lacked boundaries for his sexual behavior and the offense was part of a pattern of sexual abuse, the court increased his sentence to 40 years, including 30 years initial confinement. Well, thank God somebody has some sense still over there in Wisconsin. And Mr. Campbell appealed on the ground that Judge Robert Wing should have considered state sentencing guidelines. The District 3 Court of Appeals agreed and ordered that the case be re-sentenced. However, on appeal, Circuit Court Judge James Duval slapped Mr. Campbell with the longer sentence of 44 years, consisting of 34 years initial confinement and 10 years extended supervision. God bless this man right here. We love to see it, sir. You're doing great. Keep up the good work. I would have only asked that, you make that 34 years, just let's give him the needle. But you did what you can, and you will be blessed. Judge Duval scolded the child rapist. You are 100% to blame for what you did to that child. There's very little hope of providing restitution to the victim because you violated her trust. The judge banned Mr. Campbell from contact with his minor son until he successfully completes sex offender treatment. And I hope his minor son has absolutely nothing to do with him because he doesn't deserve to have any sort of anything with any child ever. I mean, it's just, and I don't see why his son would even want anything to do with him whatsoever, but I digress. So during imprisonment, Mr. Campbell began identifying as a woman. A prison psychiatrist diagnosed him with gender dysphoria. We need to be looking at these psychiatrists too. I mean, they are out of control. The convict began calling himself Nicole Rose and was administered hormones and provided feminine clothing and counseling services. In September 2013, he requested gender-affirming cosmetic surgery. Okay, just because you get, ass raped in prison doesn't mean that you turn into a woman magically. Okay, I know you probably are someone's bitch in there, Mr. Mark Campbell, but that doesn't mean you get to now, try to claim womanhood. Okay, you're disgusting. Just take a look in the mirror. So the WDOC director and the Gender Dysphoria Committee, that's a real, the Gender Dysphoria Committee. I mean, my God, they are just giving anyone a job these days. Like, it's just, who is on this committee is what I need to know. I mean, get a grip. But anyways, they denied the request. Mr. Campbell's desperation grew as he filed grievances and exhausted administrative appeals. He's bored, okay? He has nothing better to do. He repeatedly threatened self-castration if not given his way. So he threatened it. Okay, you know what? Go right ahead. That's your own wiener. If you want to cut it off, you big loser. So in 2016, Mr. Campbell sued a number of prison officials under this statute, including Dr. Callas, seeking damages and injunctive relief in the form of gender-affirming surgery, light makeup, electrolysis, breast augmentation, and voice therapy. This is apparently what makes a woman, guys. Okay? In order to affirm that a man is a woman, all it takes is a little bit of light makeup, electrolysis, breast augmentation, and voice therapy. And poof, voila, now we have a woman. What a fucking joke. He claimed prison officials were deliberately indifferent to his serious medical needs in violation of the 8th Amendment, which prohibits cruel and unusual punishment. You deserve crueler and more unusual. A 3-judge panel ruled against his claim for damages, with judges Diane Sykes and Michael Yale Scudder finding that prison officials followed accepted medical standards, and Judge Sykes wrote the majority opinion. Chief Judge Diane Wood dissented. Yeah, Diane Wood. She would do something like that. You just sound like somebody I hate. In addition to the crimes against his children, the 48-year-old had a prior criminal history of 3 felonies, including one involving assault. So now we move on to an update, okay, as of December 2020. Following a 3-day bench trial that began in March 2020, U.S. District Judge James Peterson, okay, this little Peterson head right here, he's got a penis head and his last name's Peterson, and he looks like the type to do some sketchy shit, okay? What's up with you, sir? So he ruled that the state of Wisconsin had violated Mr. Mark Campbell's 8th Amendment rights to displaying deliberate indifference to his medical needs, finding that Mr. Campbell has the most severe form of gender dysphoria, which causes him severe anguish to have a penis attached to his body. Only he didn't care when he was using said penis to attack his daughter. Did you think of that, Judge Penis Head? Probably not. Okay, I continue to digress, but we continue with the article. The judge ordered the state to provide him gender-affirming surgery, noting that it could take up to a year before the surgery is scheduled. The judge instructed the state to hold Mr. Campbell in a women's prison while the procedure is pending. So, if you guys want to express your views on this issue and on sexually violent men in women's prisons, this is who you can contact. I will leave this also at the in the description box as well, so you can view it there, or you can view it here on the screen now. I will be calling these people tomorrow for sure. This is an outrage. This is absolutely, I mean, just beyond the scope of humanity. It is so egregious, so foul to do this to women. People who hurt children, especially in a sexual way, we have no use for them here. This right here is Mark Campbell, okay? What he looks like currently, and it has been confirmed that he is being housed with female inmates. I don't know about whether or not he got the surgery yet. I'm sure that's something that they're keeping highly under wraps, and they're not going to be disclosing that information to the general public. But considering that this was done in 2020 and it's now 2023, I can only assume that he got the big chop and is now going to be living out the rest of his years with a disgusting gaping hole, a wound where his wiener used to be, and being able to look at women's naked bodies because he's being housed with them in prison, being able to overpower them if anything were to happen, any sort of encounter, and he could still do damage to them sexually. So, Wisconsin DOC, you should be absolutely ashamed of yourselves, and I'm disgusted with you. Especially that Judge Penis Head. I mean, what is his problem? So this is another thing from the Daily Signal about strip searches on women by biological males. But this is the part that really drives me crazy, and it doesn't make a lick of sense to me. Okay? The legislation defines sex as a person's sex at birth, as being male or female. Okay? So The inspiration for the bill traces back to this man's experience working in the Wisconsin DOC, where he observed guards who were in the process of attempting to transition to another gender, performing strip searches on members of the opposite sex. So, first of all, and my main problem with this is, why are we allowing mentally insane people to be prison guards or police officers or people who have authority over other individuals, okay, when they don't even have authority over themselves? They can't even function like a normal human being. They have severe mental illness that causes them to mutilate their own bodies, and we allow them to have keys to prisons, and we allow them to have authority and a say over what happens to people in prisons, and we allow them to be police officers, give them badges, give them guns. I mean, what? Again, I will say, this really makes you question, who really is it that has the mental illness? And it's not only just trans people, it's people who are going along with these trans people, who are allowing them to run roughshod all over all these institutions and all over all of our societal norms. It's an insane world that we're living. It's clown world, okay? So the last thing I wanted to show you guys was this out of Scotland. This was a couple years old, back from 2021. Scotland police are slammed after saying they will record rapists as women if the suspect identifies as female, even if they still have a penis. So this is another way of playing with the crime statistics, okay? So a man can be caught raping a woman and say, oh, no, it's okay, I'm transgender.
Excuse me, ma'am. No porn at the bar.
Oh, it's okay. I'm transgender.
Oh, I had no idea. Do whatever you want all the time.
And the Scotland police are going to say, oh, okay, right this way, ma'am. Right this way. Let me get your information. Okay, yeah, female? Uh-huh. Yes, ma'am. Sure. Yeah, right off to women's prison you go. What the fudge? What the literal fudge? Can we get back to a world that is not so full of psychos, full of Satanists, and full of these sick, twisted, demented fucks, okay? Because this is cuckoo land. I mean, I was watching a video earlier, like, in England, in the UK, like, rape cannot even be convicted by a woman. They were saying it's not even on the books, like, it's not even possible there, which I disagree with slightly. Women can be rapists of men. That's very, very extremely rare, but I do believe that is possible, but the UK doesn't recognize it at all.
In some scenarios, like you've identified, prisons, maybe women's shelters, sports, mandated inclusion can pose a real risk to fairness and even safety for biological women. How do we arrive at the common sense position without causing hardship to a cohort of people who've clearly had difficulties to grapple with in their lives?
I think I'd just take the whole idea of kindness to, a so-called minority. I don't think men who call themselves women are a minority. I just don't see that they're vulnerable, and I don't see that they're a minority. I think that we have to, if we are kind to compassion, we can surely afford to give kindness and compassion to women and children. And women in women's spaces have to be given the more kindness and compassion than those men that want to go into women's spaces. So I would take it a really hard line on the fact that women fought long and hard to have women-only spaces. And I don't see any argument to eradicate those women-only spaces for men who now want to use them.
That should really be the end of the argument right there. I feel for your struggles, but the struggles of you are not more important than the struggles of half the population who are women, who have legitimate fears when it comes to men infiltrating their spaces, when it comes to having to deal with men on a daily basis. The fact of the matter is, they're stronger, they're more powerful, they can and do hurt women, and we created these spaces for women to be by themselves with the children in order to keep everyone safe. And that's the way it must remain. If people have some sort of outrage or some sort of, problem with this because of, what about the transes? What about the poor little transes? Well, I would say to those people, I don't give a fuck, honestly. And you can go cry about it, because these people, they're mentally ill, and I feel sorry for that. That is horrible. They need to seek help, and I fully support that. All the rest of them are grifters taking advantage of a moment in time where we are allowing this madness to go on. And if we continue down this road, the repercussions of this will be enormous. They will be unlike anything we've ever seen before, and we cannot allow it. That's just it. So y'all let me know what y'all think. Please like the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more like this, guys. And y'all stay safe out there. Contact if you want to let your voice be heard. I will put it in the description, those Wisconsin lawmakers. And until next time, guys, y'all take it easy. I will see y'all later. Bye.
I just tell the truth, and telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies. If you mix brilliance with bravery, that we can ignite something. Even this conversation alone can ignite the people.
The time is now to express and for people to believe in themselves. The time is now for it to be okay to be great. People in this world shun people for being great, for being a bright color, for standing out. But the time is now to be okay to be the greatest you.